Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you all had a wonderful week. So it's the end of the week again, which means that it's time to take a look at how the freight market changed. And we're going to be looking at volumes, rejections, capacity insights, diesel prices, and then we'll go into specifics like we do every week for dry vans, reefers, and flatbeds. But this time around, it's going to be even more specific when it comes to figuring out the better areas, especially for dry vans and reefers. Ready? Let's go! All right, so we are going to start as always with the net change in carrier population, how many authorities were obtained versus how many authorities went out, but we're looking at the net amount. And as of last Friday, as I mentioned in my previous video, we saw another increase of 137 carriers net week over week, which marks the second increase this month and the second increase in over a year. Now let's quickly chat about the volumes in the general freight market. So again, white line is us in 2024. Blue line is 2023. As you can see, we're still trending way above those 2023 levels and it's holding steady, which is a great thing considering the rejection levels. Let me show you the rejections at the moment. Again, white is 2024, blue is 2023. And what we can see is since February, those rejections just plummeted down and they continue to do so and they're inching closer and closer to 2023 levels. What is the rejection rate at the moment? Well, it is at, that's the wrong one, 3.68%, which is pretty horrific. This tells me that contract carriers are continuing to grab whatever they can possibly find instead of rejecting those loads and pushing more volume into the spot market. All right, next we have this chart, which is diesel prices. What we're interested in is this. And you can see as of March 17th, diesel prices went up again and currently are at $4.07 on a national level. So yeah, considering those few charts that we just looked at, the situation is not great. We have diesel prices that are continuing to go up or to trend upwards. We have rejection rates that are depressed and continuing their way down. Volumes, thank goodness, are stable and above 2023 levels. But then we have this capacity thing where more people are starting to come into the industry than go out. All right, now let's look at more specific information. Again, today is going to be a little bit different, I think a little bit more helpful, starting with dry vans on the spot market. In terms of spot loads, we can see that spot loads actually increased for dry vans. And this is very nice to see, but what I'm personally happy about, which I can't believe I'm saying I'm happy about this, but that's the fact that they're finally at least at the 2023 levels, because for a while there, right here, they were below even the 2023 levels. But what happened to dry van rates? Well, rates also had a minute little increase. Currently, we are seeing $1.86 per mile on average, still below those 2023 levels, as we can see the orange line. But there was, the only thing to celebrate is at least it didn't go down. It went slightly up. Now, usually at this point, I show 4 different maps to figure out where dry vans need to go to grab relatively better opportunities. Instead of doing that, I'm going to show you a couple of different maps. These two are by Sonar, outbound tender rejection, and volume for dry vans in the general market, which means contract carriers. But then I made some maps of my own using truck stop data to see what the spot market looks like. And then what I did in order to really figure out what are the relatively better areas to be in, what I did was I took into consideration the volume and the rejection in each of these markets that we see here. Because as a reminder, a rejection can be extremely high, but if there is no volume, nothing really is going to the spot market. So yeah, it took me about 6 hours to do per equipment type, dry van and reefer, but it was worth it. So again, we're not going to look at this map. Let's take a look at what we found here. So first of all, this is volumes for dry vans. This is capacity. The lighter an area here, the less volume there is. The lighter an area here, the less trucks there are. But this is not the interesting part. We will look at that in a moment. This is the interesting part. This is what took me 6 hours to make, right? So what is this? Well, this shows us exactly the areas, the market areas, where more loads are getting pushed to the spot market. And again, it takes both the volume and the rejection rate into consideration. The dark green areas is where more volume is making it to the spot market, right? The volume is high in the general market, the rejection is high, more volume is pushed to the spot market. Green is also good. Yellow is meh, so-so. The orange parts are bad. And the dark red is where pretty much nothing is getting pushed to the spot market from the contract market. Again, as a reminder, not all spot market loads originate as contract loads, right? But a lot of them do. So based on this, we're going to look at these three maps. I know that a lot of you are spot carriers. Where do you need to be next week in order to grab relatively better opportunities? Well, the first thing I see is that most of the volume is getting pushed to the spot market in the Midwest, in Texas, in California, Southern California, and some of the eastern parts as well. Although Georgia and Jacksonville, Florida also have a lot of loads getting pushed to the spot market. Doesn't mean that those are the areas to be in. We have to compare them against the capacity, right? Because on the spot market, there is competition, and no matter how much volume is getting pushed there, if there are more trucks than there are loads, the rates are going to be crap. So just based on these two maps, I would say Omaha, Nebraska is interesting because the capacity there is not horrific. Iowa in general is interesting. Capacity is also not horrific. Then we have Michigan, except for the northern part of Michigan. Capacity is slightly more there, but again, not horrific. And there are a few loads already on the spot market. Now, areas like Pennsylvania and Illinois and Georgia and Florida and Texas, yeah, they're dark green, which means that more volume is getting pushed to the spot market, but they're also dark green here, which means there's a ton of trucks there competing for those loads. So again, Omaha, Nebraska, Iowa is interesting. Illinois, I don't know, maybe. Again, there is a ton of capacity there. Michigan is curious. All right, next we have our reefers, starting with the spot market volumes. So as you can see, volumes went up last week for reefers just like they did for dry vans, and they hit that 2023 level. What about those spot rates? Well, spot rates also saw an increase, although they're still below 2023 levels. And currently we are seeing rates around $2 and maybe 23 cents per mile on average on the spot market for reefers. But again, question is, where do you need to go if you want to grab better opportunities next week? And I made a very similar chart to the one we just saw with dry vans. Again, the detailed map where we see how many loads hit the spot market is based on the outbound tender rejection and the volume index. So we're not going to focus on this. Let's take a look at all of this. So you'll see that this map is more gray, but let me explain. This is the load volumes, right? The lighter it is, the less loads there are. We can see that Texas and California is the place where reefers have the most volume to choose from on the spot market. This is capacity, and we can see there's overcapacity in Florida, Texas, and California. But the question is, where are the better areas, right? So for reefers, I was actually very surprised when doing this map. Gray is areas that have pretty much no loads going to the spot market, or there is not enough data available to actually calculate. And just like with the dry van, green is good. This is where more loads go to the spot market. Yellow is okay. So actually Fort Worth and Dallas, and then Fargo, North Dakota, and Twin Falls, Idaho are the areas where that volume is getting pushed to the spot market. But out of these three places, I would say that you would have the best chance to negotiate a higher rate in Fargo, North Dakota, because there is no capacity there. And of course, Twin Falls, Idaho, because also there is no capacity there. In Texas, even though it's darker in the Fort Worth area, unfortunately, there are too many trucks. Finally, last but definitely not least, we have our open deck trailers, flatbeds, right? So here's the spot market volume. We can see that for not the first time, but we're above 2023 levels in terms of volume for flatbeds. They did increase week over week. In terms of the spot rates, also a very slight small increase to around $2.42 per mile, but still below those 2023 levels. The thing that I like about flatbeds is that they are following that 5-year pattern when it comes to rates. Now, unfortunately for flatbeds, I don't have the ability to make those extremely detailed charts because Sonar doesn't have rejection and volume information for open deck trailers. But let's take a look at what's happening with load volumes on the spot market. Again, the lighter it is, the less volume comes out of that area. Significant differences from last week. Only Oregon saw an increase in volume week over week. Idaho, New Mexico, Kansas, Indiana, and Maine all saw a decrease. Now, if we take a look at capacity, how many trucks there are in each of these markets. Again, light means almost no capacity, and then red like this is over 3,000 trucks, which is only Texas. So differences from last week, capacity increased in Idaho and Pennsylvania, but it decreased in South Dakota and Louisiana. But what about those load to truck ratios? Well, again, red means less than a load per truck available over capacity. The beige areas are about 1 load per truck. Then the yellow is about 2 loads per truck. Even though I wrote about 3 loads per truck, that's a typo. And then green is over 3 loads per truck. So over the past week, Wyoming and California became slightly better. Virginia and Maryland and Maine actually became worse week over week. So yeah, after looking at all of those charts and calculations and all of that, there are some good news, right? The spot market is reacting positively week over week. All 3 equipment types saw volume increases and slight rate increase as well. But something that we learned really quickly after looking at those maps, it's that those volume increases and those rate increases happened only in a handful of markets. In terms of the general freight market, it is concerning that capacity is continuing to increase on paper, at least. It is concerning that diesel prices are continuing to increase and that rejections are continuing to plummet down. In general, the market is still in the dumps, but experts are predicting that there should be some sort of relief come summer, specifically July and August, and this is probably because of the increased volume that comes with produce season. In general, I recommend to myself, as well as all of you, to continue to be patient and take it one day at a time. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching and joining me today. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep learning. See you in the next video.